when we do things correctly, make a plan, how we're going and executing, we do really well. That's because that's how teamwork works. And it is the best part of Overwatch. If you do it well, you just win fights. If you play together as a team, you just win every game, really. It's difficult, but first fight, always have a plan, usually goes well. Then I will say this again. Take a moment after every fight to plan the next one. I don't care who it is, have someone say, like, plan, right? Plan may be a good word for you. Just have someone yelling plan in the comms. If someone just, as soon as we win, we have main time as in-game leader, counter the plays, which ultimates, etc. Okay, I can see that. It doesn't matter who it is, though. Usually trigger tracking checks. Okay, so let's go over real quick. Rad, I'm going to put a small pause in your bot review. Let's go over comps really quick. The way you usually do it is the fight is won. Someone calls that the fight is won or lost, right? So we win the fight or we lose the fight. From there on, we go to ult tracking. At this point, like if someone calls plan, right? Let's do it like this. We win or we lose. Someone calls plan or whatever you guys want to use. Then we go into ult tracking. And immediately after ult tracking, we go into planning. We don't need a new command. We know that after ult tracking always comes planning. And you really have to do all of this between fights? Yes, and usually do more even. But ideally, we only need one word to trigger us into ult tracking to trigger us into planning after that. Here's the issue. Do you want a balanced attack inclusion to trigger all of this? It can be anyone. I don't care who it is. Anyone can just say plan or what. Do you guys have a word for it? Do you go? I usually try to do recap. Like my favorite way of doing it is recap, but any word, anything just works. Anyone in the team can trigger it. It doesn't have to be you. Literally anyone in the team can trigger it. Respond with 3. We're going to go recap. Okay. The fight at 5-1 as being up 2, then team gets 1. Respond with 3 against 2. Making the fight 1. Is that right? Yes, but there's a difference between a 1 fight and just calling the end of a fight. The thing is, after a 1 fight, you may need to clean up. And you can do recap while cleaning up, but people may get confused. So if you have to, yes, you can do it while cleaning up. So yeah, like you say, if you're 2 people up, you have usually won the fight. Then someone calls a 1 fight to make sure that we don't use any more ultimates. But then we have, I guess there's 2 different 1 calls, which is silly. If you call a fight is 1, not to use ultimates, but you can also just call like at that point after the fight is won or lost, we got clean up. But at any point after the fight is won or lost, we can call recap. It doesn't have to be right away if we have to do cleanup, because maybe we are trying to focus people down and kill them. So we don't want to be doing recap while we do that, right? But at any point after the fight is won or lost, we can just go recap. Maybe we just clean up, kill 2 more of them, 2 get away, we let them get away, or we just chase them or whatever. But now that it's 6v2, or well 5v1, I guess, we can go into recap. It doesn't have to be immediately after the call of the fight is won or lost, but you want it to be as soon as possible after you clean up. Because yeah, you may win the fight and there may still be 3 of them alive, so you still want target focus and you still want all of that. But as soon as you are able to speak freely after the fight is won or lost, you just recap, and we go into the ult tracking. and then we go into planning. And it's usually in this order because you need to know what ultimates they have to make a plan, right? You don't want to make a plan and then be like, wait, no, they have beat, and then our plan is just gone because they have beat. So usually alt track to make sure what they have. Then whoever is doing the planning can just press tab, see what ultimates we have, and plan like this. I have a full video on comms that I did at some point. But yeah, if you want a full video on comms, I'm just talking about between fight stuff. But it's usually, yeah, you path while you're going forward, or just before going forward, we go forward. Usually something that happens a lot is there may be a poking phase, and then there's an engagement, like a trigger to your engagement. I think a trigger is usually pretty good to have planned as well. If you guys really want to go into fight planning, we can do that. The general idea is that establishing a trigger is really good so that everyone in the team knows when to act. For example, we can be like, okay, we are going to speed forward, and I don't know, get a Maywall. And using the Maywall, using our Maywall, that's the trigger. When we trigger, we all just go forward or try to go on the target planning. We can go over the triggers ourselves. I'm just explaining what it is. You usually want to make sure that you know one of those triggers. Maybe in a more complicated situation is, well, we want to dive the backline. So let's try to poke a little bit until we get the emo, and as soon as they use emo, we kill them, right? Something like that. It doesn't have to be very complicated, but you want to plan around something so your entire team can go forward. It can literally be as simple as soon as we see that the Ana is by herself. Like maybe the Ana is a step too far back. As soon as we see that the Ana is vulnerable, we go on the Ana. And the Ana just takes a single step too far back and we go, 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 go. It's good to have people accountable for while shooting things, then divide up. If you can, yeah, there are some people that do it all by themselves. I am one of those people that ends up doing it all by himself because a lot of the teams I've been in don't have great comps. So I'm like, motherfucker, I have to do everything again. But yeah, it happens sometimes. But yeah, basically, you plan your path, you target call with the tanks. You can also in-game leader. You can call it won or lost. It really depends on the team. It doesn't come down to this is a set role. It is more that what is everyone really good at, right? Tracer is really good at creating an opportunity for an engagement. Yeah, but at the same time, you also want to be the ball. You usually want ball to be the one creating this opportunity for the Tracer now. That's how it usually goes with ball Tracer now. Okay, let's get back.